Phil Davis, we appreciate your time today on afl.com.au.
No, mate, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to having a chat.
It's the first time in 9 seasons that you don't go into the year with the status as captain of a club. What's the impact been for you on that?
Yeah, it's obviously different. You know, you sort of go to a meeting and, you know, you generally feel this sense that you have to, you know, talk or present or send a message, etc. And that sort of have that urge, but then to know that, you know, you've got to now just don't change your role too much. I still lead in exactly the same way as I have. However, I am very deliberate in making sure that I give space for the new leaders. We've got a completely new leadership group led by Stephen, obviously. So there's a little bit of that going on as well at the moment, but I must admit, just time and thought, you know, it actually does take over your life, in my opinion, from my experience as captain. You go at home, you're thinking about the club. You know, you drive to the training, you're thinking about the club and how you can do things better and which players you're worried about or which players are doing really well. Yeah. It becomes, you know, almost an addiction to an extent of, you know, trying to make everything better.
You were 21 when you were given the role, hadn't even notched up 20 matches. Yep. It's a different Phil Davis right now, isn't it? About to turn 30, 166 matches to the game. You crammed and jammed a lot into that time frame, didn't you?
Yeah, I must admit I had a strange sort of first 6 years of my career, 6 or 7 years, going from, you know, being not a frustrated, but trying to get a game at Adelaide early in my career, you know, genuinely struggling to get picked, and I was a high draft pick, and you got the challenges of everyone around you playing. You know, Daniel Rich won the Rising Star in 2009, I'm pretty sure, and he was 2 picks or 3 picks before me, and I couldn't get a game, and then, so I had those sort of challenges, crack into the team through injuries, then all of a sudden I've left, become captain, and wasn't ready to be captain, there's no doubt about that. However, it was a great learning experience for me. Form of the team was really challenging. Myself had a few injuries early in my career, so yeah, there was a bit going on, and I'd love to know what I know now. However, the journey's been incredible, and yeah, I think I've had a very different experience to many, but you know, there were no doubt parallels with other players. But it's been a great journey, and I must admit, if you told me I'd be going into my 12th year when I started, and I couldn't get a kick at training at the Crows, I'd probably take it.
Yeah. Also, too, with part of that story, you're upfront enough publicly to make the announcement to everyone that you were leaving too. Now that you see the way players do it, and they keep it quiet, even if they've made a decision until the time frame allows them to make it smoothly, what's your take on how you did it compared with what people do now?
Once I'd made my mind up and I knew it was going to disappoint them, I actually still really loved my time at the club, and I had a huge amount of respect for them. So from my point of view, it was, let's let them know so they can start planning, because there's so much planning that goes on these days. That was my view. Yeah, you've always come across as being pretty upfront too. Yeah, and I didn't want to lie and deceive and all that, and it generally was a hard decision to leave. I remember being extremely torn. I remember telling the club and the boys, and I was upset because to me, like, they were always really good to me and I had a great time, but for me it was a choice that I had to make, and yeah, out of respect to what they'd done for me, and you know, there's no doubt there was a huge amount of disappointment from them that I'd only given them 3 years of service. So for me, you know, it sounds probably a little bit hollow, but I did want to give them at least the respect of telling them fair enough. And then how it compares to now, it's different now, I think. I just think the whole industry has changed, and the speculation and all that is so different now. It's hard. Like, I look at, you know, almost like what Joe Danaher went through last year. And
you've seen players leave your club too.
We've seen players leave my club, and
you wouldn't begrudge them?
No, I don't. I think the only I don't know if it's right or wrong, but the only thing that frustrates me is how they do it. I've always been happy for players to leave, and if they want better opportunities, but it's hard for, especially the young ones. They feel as though they have to lie and to just get around the awkward conversations. But we had like Aiden Bonner leave last year, and you know, we had a coffee the next day, and I spoke about how it was going to be best for him, you know, what he should think about changing clubs, because obviously I've experienced it. So, you know, there's a great deal of respect for each other, but it's just how you do it. And from my time at the Giants, I think everyone did it really well.
The grand final loss of last year, have you got over it? Do you ever get over it?
Oh, I think you'll never get over the fact that it's a missed opportunity. Yep. You know, I was sitting there reflecting on the NBA the other day, and 30 teams trying to win one championship, it's so hard. And then we're 18 teams trying to win one. It is very, very hard. And to get to the final two, it took me 11 years to get there. So I sort of felt like I had some level of perspective of how hard it is to get there. You know, what was it, 2 lost prelims, a lost semi-final to finally get to a grand final, and we got there and we're beaten by a better side. I think you can take some level of comfort in that they were the better side.
Okay.
We're disappointed. Like, I'm not going to skim over that. And we're for me, I've openly said that I was embarrassed of how it went down. Super proud of my teammates and the year that we've had, but we deserved for our fans to put on a better show, and that was disappointing. But it's footy. Like, I look at it as a huge experience. That week was crazy.
Yeah.
We've never dealt with anything like that.
You're a deep thinker, and I'm assuming you've reflected immensely on this. Getting there, was that the toll that was insurmountable, or was it a combination of that with the moment itself? And also you throw in what you just said before, they were a better team. Yeah,
I think first and foremost, for us to win, we're to play at our best. And by doing that, obviously throw off Richmond and what they like to do the best. That's what you always have to do. And we needed to do that to win. They're a very good side. I think there was an element of, there's no doubt there was a cumulative fatigue that occurs with playing all 4 weeks. However, with modern technology and all this modern science and that, we were cherry ripe. Physically, we were cherry ripe to play and play well. The unknown is, I would have got 500 to 1,000 text messages in a week, phone calls, you name it, media requests. We had, I know it happens in Melbourne all the time, we had, cameras at the doors, at the club, and all this stuff. All this stuff we're just not used to. Yeah. Did that have an effect? Not sure. But there were all these different factors. However, at the end of the day, we're professionals. We get paid handsomely. We should have been better. You used the term, you were cherry ripe there as a team. You weren't cherry ripe physically. Oh, there's no doubt I wasn't 100%. Yeah, it was a really bizarre set of circumstances. I must admit, after the prelim, I honestly thought I wasn't going to play. Yeah. I had hope. Everyone should have hope. But the week transpired close to perfectly for me. Yep. It was actually pretty incredible. We had the scan the next day, and then we actually planned out the week, and it all went like almost perfectly. Yeah, right. And I was more than right to play. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. I heard every comment after the game. Even though you try to dodge it, it all comes across your desk. I even read your article, and I must admit, I can sit here comfortably, really comfortably, and say I made the right decision to play with myself, the staff, and Leon. Did you make the right decision to have the fitness test so publicly? And I know it was tricky. It's a good question. The funny thing about this is, grand final day, there's one game, there's more cameras, there's more media working, there's more everything. So there's more coverage. Yep. During the year, we would have fitness tests that close to the game once every month or two. Yep. So it does happen. And that was my plan all week. I knew that with the injury I had, if I tried to do that fitness test Friday, the likelihood of me pulling up sore and then not being able to play the next day was there. So you left it as late as possible? Just because once the blood's flowing, you start bleeding, etc., I can't then cool down. So we left it to even that late, just so that I didn't cool down again and then get going in. So the other thing that I always laugh about is I'm not the smoothest of movers. So this is the thing that always bugs me too. Even when I do a fitness test in round 8, the straight back doesn't work. I know I'm a horrific looking operator, and that's the thing for me is I probably didn't look good to everyone. Like everyone's probably like, oh, he's running, he doesn't look smooth, but I never look smooth. I have to explain this to Leon all the time. Like if I'm carrying even your coach, I hurt my ankle earlier in the year. I'm trying to get back and play. He goes, you just don't look right. I said, mate, I feel fine. Yep. I'm just not a pretty mover. So you add in the aesthetics of how I move, and obviously the scrutiny. It's not a great combo. You would have been proud under the circumstances what you did personally. I know you lost, and you've already discussed that. Yeah, but you didn't a tough one. Get shown up, despite being well under 100%. Yeah, I must admit, from my point of view. I was proud of the amount of effort I put in. I know everyone would have put in the same amount of effort, but I did a lot of things that week that were out of the normal, and just to get myself right and give myself the best chance, as well as being captain at the same time. And I felt like, even though I hadn't been there before, we'd only had Mumford and Shaw, who'd played in grand final before, a huge role in because we're a young team, I think that gets a little bit, we're quite a young team. So that part plus my own bit, it meant like I was gone after the game, like mentally gone, plus the emotional toll of such a disappointing performance. And then was I at my absolute best? Did I play my best? No, but I thought I competed hard, and it hurt me for my performance to be criticised so much, because I'm a proud player. I like to think that I'm a consistent performer, and for what to be said about me, that hurt. That really hurt.
What parts hurt you?
Oh, I think when people just say you shouldn't have played, or you're clearly not right, blah blah blah, and I just felt sometimes some of the commentary was ad hoc a little bit, and they were just shooting from the hip, and because it was an easy story, and I sort of, you don't think about it before a game. You're like, I don't think if we lose, blah blah blah. But I guess reflecting it, I always knew that if we'd played badly, the story was going to be me, and it is difficult. Like my social media was, I deleted all my apps for a week.
Did you?
Because it was hard. It's just a consistent reminder. And as I said to you at the very start, everyone tries to get to those last two. And as a kid, you think about winning the Norm Smith or kicking the last goal. Yeah. So it's a big focus on that, and to have your dream linked with people telling you that you failed in that was challenging, even if I've been around the game for a while.
Yeah, if hearing you say that at 29, hearing that, and obviously you've talked about this before about the impact that has on younger kids. So to hear you describe that having an effect on you, it's
there's no doubt about that, and I think the one thing that I'm able to do is separate that from what I actually know, but that still affects you. You can do whatever, you say whatever you want, like I don't read social media or it doesn't affect me. That still gets in. It always gets in. I still remember my end of year review. Like I was like emotional 5 days after, because it had been such a big, week from just before the game to after the game. Plus,
was that the release for you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
so you and Leon in a room and others, or just the two of you?
Myself, Leon, Mark McVeigh, Wayne Campbell, and that was good.
Did you break down?
Yeah, I was upset. Yeah. I didn't fully break down, but I was clearly emotional, and the chat had nothing to do with football really. It was more about how can we, just because the year was a challenging year. As on top of what ended up being a tough back in the year, it was an emotional roller coaster, of which you've got to recover. And I feel like I've recovered and I'm hungry again to play. Yeah. And that was the challenge. It was, we spoke more about, how can I, one, get my body back, because I needed to do a bit of rehab to get back, plus mentally recharge, because it was a stressful period. Yep.
For you, just moving off GWS matters, you're a deep thinker about the game, one of the deeper ones I've come across, I think. The length of the game, the length of the season, I know you've got views. Are you happy to share some of them here, or do you want to keep that internal?
No, I'm pretty happy to talk about lots of things. For me, my only thing about the season is, I love football. I think football is a great game. The year's obviously 12 months on, we all know that. We get off training, maximum 2 to 3 weeks of no running. Yep. So the season goes for, if you're lucky, 7 months. Yep. I just think the 7 months of playing, if you're lucky, a lot of teams play for 6 months, and then you train for 5 months. For me, that ratio, if I want the best players to play, I want Buddy Franklin and Dustin Martin at 5 playing, not training. So I've always had a belief in the last few years that, could we play more games? Could we push, well into the mid to high 20s and lengthen the season? And maybe to do that, we might need to shorten the game from 120 minutes to potentially 100-ish.
Yeah. Post-footy, what's in mind now? I know you're still only 29 as we speak.
Yeah, trying to retire me already, Purple. I like it.
You studied commerce law.
Yeah, so I had to drop the law bit. So I finished my commerce degree last year. So I've got that done.
That's an achievement itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it took me 9.5 years. It was a genuine battle. Huge. Yeah, it was a big battle. I heard the other day that there are these few courses now that help you shortcut it, and blokes might be getting them done in 5 or 6 years, and that really hurt me. I was a bit sad when I heard that. The old, no, you should do it the long way like me.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm fascinated. I love footy, I love sport. So there's a burning passion there, but probably more on the administration side, more so than the football department side per se.
You knocked someone out of a media job too much at the moment you want.
I don't know about that. We'll see. I'm not sure I've got the chips there, but I think for me, I've got to get away from. I want to get away from football just for a little bit. Yeah. It's sort of almost an institution within football. Like, it runs on its own sort of rules and stuff. And for me, I want to get a greater sense of
Wide right.
Yeah, and I'll go and learn. So I'll hopefully step away from football for a while, and maybe loop around. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm not too sure, but I've been pretty fortunate that the Giants, Dave Matthews, has been great with me, and he lets me go into meetings and all these things. So I'm just in that whole wealth accumulation period of my life, and
no captaincy to
no captaincy. So I've got more time. So
yeah.
that's definitely a big part of it, is to try to explore that. However, at the same time, I'm hungry to play for longer and play better.